This is going to be a user's guide to understanding Clif High's webbot and what exactly everything means, because obviously when you first come across his auto reports for the first time, they can seem very confusing because a lot of new language is used, which obviously you won't understand. So that is why this videos I'm making will be designed to educate and simplify what it is that has been created and shared with us. So effectively, the webbot is a predictive linguistics tool. Clif has created his infamous webbot auto reports via internet data mining of over 120 global linguistics found circulating on the internet. This forms the global consciousness of predictive linguistics, what the people of the world are talking about. Predictive linguistics is a field that Clif pioneered in 1993. The software and lexicon has been in continual change, update mode since then. Every month of every year, this process is being refined and improved to become more and more accurate. Linguistics, or language, to simplify, is an ever-evolving thing, with new words being created which have to be updated into the system's software for processing its meaning. Predictive linguistics works to predict future language about potential future events due to the nature of humans. It is his operating assumption that all humans are psychic, though the vast majority do nothing to cultivate it as a skill and are likely unaware of it within themselves. This is why you will hear from time to time about global consciousness and connections people have on Earth, not only to one another, but to a higher frequency of vibration being channeled, much like the electricity in your home coming from a main power plant grid. Consciousness is the same, and humans are not only able to send messages, but receive them like antennas to a radio wave. In spite of this, the universe and human nature has it that they leak prescient, which means having or showing knowledge of events before they take place, continuously in their choice of language. This is why people often feel something bad is going to happen ahead of time. Or for example, a monetary debt system is unsustainable and being manipulated until a financial crash occurs, much like in 2008. Many people knew something was not right in the markets. This is a consciousness. His software processing collects these leaks and aggregates them. An aggregation is a collection or the gathering of many things together against a model space of a timeline, and that information is provided in the reports. Predictive linguistics is the process of using computer software to calculate vast amounts of written text taken from the internet. It does this by filtering into categories the portrayed data and emotional content, and thus its value in context. Predictive linguistics uses emotional qualifiers and quantifiers expressed as numeric values, given a number or a score to each word. For each and all words or phrases discovered, they are then filtered in the aggregation process. Over 80% of all the words gathered will be discarded for one or more reasons. Predictive linguistics works as no conscious expressions are passed through the software. This means it's an unbiased global view, not just of one person's thoughts or opinion. The context discussed within the report are in the form of entities and linguistic structures. The emotional sums of the language found in the web are retrieved. Also, words that are identified within his systems as descriptors also pass through during processing. The descriptor words are those words and phrases that provide us with the detail sets inside the reports or within the larger context sets. An example: the way this works is that most sports forums on the internet have language about future events and would be statistically more likely to use words such as bet, as in I bet this, XXX will be the outcome, or I predict, or I think that XXX will happen. So it is the context plus emotional values plus rarity of use within the context that flags words for inclusion in the detailed level of the database. As you are aware, the reports have many words which describe sets or subset topics. If you are unsure on some of these meanings or definitions, there will be a follow-on video to explain them in depth, and others that follow to help guide you in fully understanding this truly groundbreaking, marvellous invention of Clif's. Some have even gone as far to call him the modern-day Leonardo da Vinci, minus the Masonic connection, of course. Further, it is worth noting that most detail-level words are encountered in our processing mere days before their appearance. Within the IM, immediacy data, primarily, and then within ST, shorter term data next. But a preponderance, which means the quality or fact of being greater in number, quantity, or importance, are discovered within the immediacy data time period, perhaps an artifact of our processing. If so, one not explored due to lack of time on Clif's part. Words are linked by their array values back to the lexicon using his set theory model, and the language used within the interpretation, detail words accepted, derives from the lexicon and its links to the change in nature of contexts as they are represented within the model. The alter report is an interpretation of the asymmetric trends that are occurring even this instant as millions of humans are typing billions of words on the internet. The trends are provided in the form of a discussion of the larger collections of data, dubbed entities, down to the smallest aspect, attribute, swept up from daily discussions within that context. Within the alter report format, detailed words are provided as phrases using, containing, or denoting expressions that are natural to that native speaker. Expressions are also provided as details. In the main, geographic references are merely summed, and if deemed relevant or applicable to a particular matter, it's added. The largest collection of data is taken from the discussed topics online in relation to possible or probable occurrences in terms of detailed events and data. The interpretation gathered and provided is then filtered and filed. We're now going to go into part 2 of the user's guide to understanding Clif High's webbot, and we're going to be covering the definitions. So we start with aspects and attributes, which are collections of data that are within our broader linguistic structures and are the supporting sets that provide insight into future developments, including future forecasts, by way of linking between words inside the lexicon. Entities. These master sets at the top of the nested linguistic structures contain all reference that center around the very broad labels that identify the entity, be it either markets, global pop, or spacescope farts as examples. Lexicon. At its core, the lexicon is a digital dictionary of words in multiple languages and alphabets, stripped of definitions other than such technical elements as parts of speech, identifiers. The lexicon is quite large and is housed in an SQL database heavily populated with triggers and other executable code for maintenance and growth. Human language expands continuously, so the lexicon must as well. Conceptually, this part is complex to describe in depth as to how it works, plus it's not something Clif wants to give away, as it has taken years to refine, so like a trade secret, it's closely guarded. But if you're not into IT or programming, this is how it works. At the Prolog software engine and processing level, the lexicon is effectively the HQ motherboard hub with the assignment of carrying out a complex multi-dimensional array data crunching. The intergears, Latin for whole, within the 8x8x10 level array structure are composed of emotional qualifiers, which are assigned numeric representations of the intensity, duration, impact, and other values of the emotional components given by humans to that word. It also contains emotional quantifiers, which are assigned numeric representations of the degree of each of the cells and level of emotional assignment. This is how the lexicon makes sense of millions of collected linguistic words, emotions, and context the spiders collect, producing a raw data file Clif then puts into readable English in an auto-report. It's why there is a human element in machine-to-human translation that in the past has misrepresented a definition of a word into meaning, the wrong thing or subset in a report. So with the constant evolution and redefinitions Clif has to manually do each month refining the lexicon, you can see more and more accurate results in his conversion of data to readable format. Spiders are the software programs that once executed are self-directing within programmed limits, thus are called bots, and within these constraints are allowed to make choices as to the linguistic trails to explore on the internet. The job of the spiders, bots, is to search, retrieve, and pre-process part of the exclusion process that will see 90% of the returned data eliminated from consideration in our model, the linguistic bytes. 2,048 words, phrases in multi-byte character format, which are aggregated into our model space when processing is completed. List of entity titles change from report to report, but you understand 99% of the time, until a new one pops up. So we're now going to break down some of these entity groups. Now the first is going to be global pop. As it sounds, the global pop entity represents the linguistic sets within the data that are focused on the future of humanity, local or global. The local future focused language is aggregated into the global future language sets. This entity is independent of language, alphabet, or script form, and thus is our deepest and broadest set for emotional quantifiers and quantifiers about humanity's future. USA pop and any other nation, state, territorial reference, all subsets of the populace of the planet within our model space are identified by either a geospatial term such as a regional terrestrial label, e.g. Alpine pop, or geopolitical label, e.g. Canada pop. These are used to isolate the subset of the global populace to which the terms are being applied in the forecast. The terrestrial references are frequently used to provide context of shared views, concerns, as in those things all mountain-dwelling people will have in common separate from other humans. Another is the markets. The markets entity is a superset of linguistic structures covering paper debt markets of all kinds, commodity trading markets, physical swap markets, currency usage within populace, digital currency developments, precious metal and new technology, fintech. The next will be Terra entities. The Terra entity is the master set for all structures that relate to the planet and the physical environment of the planet. Lots of this data can revolve around extreme weather patterns or shift in global conditions, resulting in changes to humanity's way of living. This master set frequently and increasingly has extensive crosslinks to the SpaceGoat Farts entity. This master set is where all data that fits under the context of officially denied, unknown, and speculative arrives. Our processing discovered significant amounts of data of the unknown and officially denied over 2000 and 2003, which led to the creation of the separate entity view labelled SpaceGoat Farts. As may be expected, this set contains the references to UFOs, Area 51, breakaway civilizations, and other woo-woo subjects. We then move into the data types. There's 3 data types, the first being IM, referring to immediacy data, with forecasted effectiveness from 3 days to the end of the 3rd week. Error range for this data type is 4 weeks, meaning if a prediction is made for the 3rd day of the month, it can occur any time 4 weeks after that period and still be classed as accurate. The next data type is ST, referring to shorter term data with forecasting effectiveness from the 4th week out through and inclusive the end of the 3rd month from date of interpretation. Error range for this one is 4 months. The final data type is LT, longer term data with forecasting effectiveness from the end of the 3rd month out through and inclusive of the end of the 19th month. Error range is 19 months. Terms frequently used. Cross-links, links from one cell in the database and its software representation to another due to a shared linguistic structure or pattern. Linguistic structure in his model space. A linguistic structure is a master set and all its contained subsets, also known as directly held subsets. At the very highest level, each and all entities within this model are linguistic structures, which in their turn are composed of many subsets of other linguistic structures. Model space allows for 256 layers of nesting of these sets and subsets, each of which can and may be complex sets of its own. Obviously, the model is derived from object-oriented programming at its highest level. Metadata layer. In model space, when a meme appears directly held in numerous sets at the same level of support, it is labeled metadata layer. These layers can be thought of as a common linguistic structure that forms with defined supporting sets in the various entities. For clarity, a meme in Terra entity would not have the same supporting sets as that same meme in a global pop entity, but both would be part of the larger metadata layer that the meme reveals. Next is model space. In the interpretation, the datasets are represented on screen in a virtual box, in which a 3D box is drawn and the lexicon-linked words from the latest data processing are shown within the 3D box by position and color and brightness and hue of the individual pixels. Using an algorithm of his own design and the complex calculus of the Prolog programming language, model space is populated by these database representations in a manner that resembles scatter graphs, but at a 3-dimensional level. By toggling on or off several advanced features of his 3D box software, the various level of data and cross-links and other technical elements may be displayed, revealing multiple repetitions and likelihood of conscious confirmation of the event or outcome. Much like if you have ever seen a tennis match and the computer-aided program shows you the serves both players have made and the area of the court the ball is hit, predicting the accuracy of serve and location most struck. Next is MUM, model of model space. In the very first public release of information from his process, a self-referring loop was created by internet articles about the release, and thus the next time the spiders were invoked, the process crashed on self-referential circuitous references to his own work. As a corrective measure, MUM, Models of Model Space, was devised as his very improvement to the process. MUM holds a copy of his interpretation as well as links to areas on the net to exclude from consideration within the predictive linguistic work. In other words, there's a fail-safe of previous data being allowed back into the next round of collected data, so effectively creating a firewall of previous alter reports getting back into circulation. Set. Our approach involves the use of complex, fuzzy set theory originating in the software industry's quest for intelligent machines, or AI, artificial intelligence. In his approach, the fuzzy sets are based on the ability to define such concepts as near, close to, about, and like, among many other, which provide him the ability to assign a numeric representation as a quantifier to human emotions, which are the key element to future forecasting from predictive linguistics. Next is temporal echo. These are linguistic echoes across time that will reference the same previously forecast meme and its emotional parameters. The language manifested in both instances, that is, the temporal meme, anchor, and its echo will be related to each other, though frequently the repeating echo is larger in both scope and intensity. In some cases, the meme is completed in our predictive linguistic sense of that word by the echo phrase of the meme. Basically, a duplicated prediction from past alters becoming more prominent. Finally, TM refers to temporal marker. Think of this as a bookmark against which you may remember specific details of the forecast. These are chosen due to some more or less easily identified linguistic telltale signs that we expect to show up in the forecast language within the media discussions. And please do return for part 3, where we will continue to delve into Clif alter and webbot creation. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.